We sailed both MSC and Royal Caribbean, so which cruise line actually serves the better food? The answer might surprise you. We'll start with MSC. Our experience of main dining was in the Yacht Club restaurant, which is a sleek, modern feel to it. The menu looked promising. I started with a red lentil soup and Austin had the goat's cheese tart. We both had fillet of beef for main, which was fine. And then for the dessert, I had tiramisu. After all, it was an Italian cruise line. And Austin had cheese and crackers. However, they forgot to deliver the crackers, and after asking for them again and waiting half an hour, we decided to give up. 2 out of the 3 courses were pretty poor. The main course was fine, nothing spectacular. The staff seemed rushed, but for these reasons, we're going to give MSC's complimentary dining room food a 6 out of 10. And over to Royal Caribbean. The main dining room has that classic multi-storey grandeur that you expect on a cruise. The night in question was a theme night. I had the starter of the asparagus and Austin had a scallop gratin. We both had the surf and turf for the main course and it was very good. I'm not always a huge fan of prime rib, but this is cooked very nicely. The dessert wasn't great, but I think I could have done better with an alternative option. I think that's my fault. The service, I have to say, was fantastic here, and I think all in, we give this an 8 out of 10. Now, for the buffet battle. MSC's Marketplace buffet is enormous with a huge amount of variety of options. As you can see here, it can get very crowded at peak times and queues can go back as far as the aft swimming pool, so be prepared or go out of peak time, especially on our embarkation day. A real highlight here is the authentic Italian style pizza made fresh right in front of you, and it's one of the signature parts of the buffet. I think there's a huge amount of variety. There's gluten-free, vegan stations. However, I have to say, in terms of layout, I think that the narrow walkways around some of the food stands make for choke points. We did particularly like that it's open late into the evenings, so you can stop by for an evening snack before bed. The food, even in the late evening, was excellent. It was fresh and hot, which is really all you really want. For these reasons, we give the buffet an 8 out of 10. Next up is Royal Caribbean's Windjammer Buffet. The layout feels very open and spread out with space for people to pass. Food stations are generally mirrored on each side of the ship and during quiet periods closed off, depending on how busy the buffet is at that time. The Windjammer can get very busy with long queues. It's another reason I would recommend avoiding it during peak times. If you don't fancy getting dressed up in smart clothes in the evenings, this is always a relaxed place to come. Service is always excellent, tables are always cleaned quickly and staff always offering drinks from the bar. They too have a good variety of food and they're good at the classics. Things like burgers, hot dogs, salads, and they usually have a great carvery station at lunch. Dinner is always pretty relaxed and they've usually got a food selection of dedicated offerings such as Indian and Mexican. They offer gluten-free and vegan options too. The variety and the quality is, in my opinion, very good. My only disappointment is that it closes at 9 PM in the evenings and doesn't offer a late night option like MSC. For food in the evenings, you need to go to Sorrento's or Cafe Promenade. For these reasons, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. If you're enjoying the channel and want more insider tips, make sure to hit that subscribe button. There's so much more coming up. When it comes to specialty dining, we're putting steakhouses head to head. First, it's MSC's Butcher's Cut. We opted to sit outside on the balcony overlooking the promenade. As you can see, the menu is pretty extensive. Feel free to slow down or stop the video here to take a better look. By the way, I've got a pro tip at the end of this video to get a meal at the Butcher's Cut for free on your next cruise. So first up, they impressed us with this incredible warm bread basket. Austin had the bacon and cheese roll, I had the plain roll, and they come with an assortment of flavoured butters as well. It was so good and it was perfectly warmed. We try not to eat too much of the bread for fear that it might end up filling us up and meaning that we don't end up eating too much of the steak, so we only had one each. For starter, Austin had the crab cakes. He said they were delicious and perfectly cooked. We both had the surf and turf. The steak was cooked to perfection and the quality was undeniable. The lobster tasted fresh and was cooked perfectly as well. It wasn't a huge amount of food, but it was a perfect amount. And then for the dessert, Austin had the strawberry cheesecake and I had the molten chocolate lava cake. Both were quite small desserts, but they were both perfectly sized. After a heavy meal, that was all we needed. It felt like a truly premium, high-end steakhouse experience. For this reason, we give it a 9 out of 10. It's one of the best steak experiences we've had at sea. Now, for Royal Caribbean's Chops Grill. We started with the wedge salad and the mushroom soup. Both were good, if a little uninspired. The menu at Chops hasn't changed in the last decade. We've been sailing with Royal, and I think the menu is more limited than MSC's offerings. For the main, I had the fillet steak, and Austin had the salmon. Both well cooked and tasty, if a little bland. The service was great in there, if a little bit slow. The family style sides were a highlight. You get a ton of food. We had cheesy potatoes, asparagus and fries. And then for dessert, I had the red velvet cake. It didn't quite live up to the premium price tag, about $40 each for lunch, and I think the menu needs changing and updating. It doesn't really compare to MSC Butcher's Cut. For this reason, I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. So, for main dine, MSC comes in at 6 out of 10, and Royal Caribbean comes in at 8 out of 10. For the buffet, MSC comes in at a 8 out of 10, and Royal Caribbean tips it just a little bit to 8.5 out of 10. And for the specialty dining, Butcher's Cut, MSC comes in at a whopping 9 out of 10, and Royal Caribbean's Chops Grill comes in at 6.5 out of 10. When you add those scores together, that makes 23 out of 30 for both. So what would I recommend? Well, if you're in it for the complimentary food, I would recommend going for Royal Caribbean. And if you're interested in trying some of the specialty dining restaurants on board MSC, I'd say definitely try Butcher's Cut. I talked about that free meal that you can get on board MSC ships. So if you are not yet a member of the Voyagers Club, you can sign up for their scheme on their website, and then you can do what's called a status match, and this allows you to receive the same benefits that you would get on another cruise line. So you can match your status if you have that on another cruise line. And then what they'll do is, if they upgrade you to diamond level, which is what I received when I did this, you are offered a specialty dining meal complimentary on their ships. There are some exclusions, but Butcher's Cut's included. When you get there and you've booked in, make sure you book on before you go on the cruise or when you get on the ship, and then tell them that you are a diamond member, and they will allow you to have a complimentary meal, and also I think one guest in your room as well, as long as you are staying in the same room. So that can save a little bit of money there. If you find this content useful, please do think about liking and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next video.